What if the only thing standing between you and extinction was a piece of meat left too close to a fire? No war won it, no genius invented it, no god intervened. A mistake did. And that mistake is the reason you're alive right now reading this, with a brain large enough to wonder about it. This is the story of how humanity nearly didn't make it, and how the simplest act imaginable, cooking food, pulled us back from the edge without anyone even trying to. Here's the premise. Somewhere around 2 million years ago, our ancestors were losing. Not to predators, not to war, to something slower and far more dangerous. Starvation of the brain. Early humans were eating raw meat, raw plants, raw everything, and raw food is brutal to digest. Your gut has to work for hours breaking it down, spending enormous amounts of energy just to extract a fraction of the calories inside it. Chimpanzees today spend nearly 6 hours a day chewing, just to get enough calories to survive. And here's the problem. Our ancestors' brains were getting bigger. Bigger brains need more fuel. A modern human brain eats up 20% of your entire body's energy while being only 2% of your body weight. It is the most expensive organ you own, and 2 million years ago, there was no way to pay for it. The math didn't work. Raw food couldn't supply enough energy to grow a brain this expensive. Every solution on the table was failing. Eating more meant more hours chewing, which meant less time doing anything else. Hunting, moving, staying alive. Eating different food didn't help either. Roots, tubers, raw plants, all of it was locked behind the same wall. Too much energy spent digesting, too little energy left over. Something had to change or the human brain was going to stay small forever. Then, somewhere in Africa, something happened that nobody planned. A wildfire swept through a stretch of land. Or lightning struck dry brush, or a group of early hominids simply left a carcass too close to their fire pit overnight. Nobody wrote it down because nobody could write yet. But someone, somewhere, ate meat that had already been cooked by accident. And it must have felt wrong at first. Different texture, different smell. But here's the part that changed everything. It was easier to chew. It took less energy to digest, and whoever ate it walked away with more calories in their body for less effort than anyone else eating raw meat that day. That is not a small advantage. That is the entire game changing in one bite. Cooking is, in a very real sense, pre-digestion. Heat breaks down proteins and starches before they ever reach your stomach. Your gut, instead of grinding through hours of raw fiber and tough muscle, gets a head start. Scientists estimate cooked food delivers as much as 30% more usable energy than the same food raw. 30%. For free. Just by holding it over a flame. Once that discovery spread, and it would have spread fast because free extra energy is the easiest sell in the history of biology, everything downstream started shifting. Guts began shrinking. A smaller gut needs less energy to maintain, which means more energy is available elsewhere. And where did that spare energy go? Straight to the most expensive organ in the body, the brain. Anthropologists call this the expensive tissue hypothesis, and the fossil record backs it up almost perfectly. Around the time cooking is believed to have become common, hominid brain size starts climbing at a pace it had never climbed before. Homo erectus, one of the first species believed to control fire regularly, had a brain roughly 50% larger than the species before it. But cooking didn't just feed brains, it rebuilt how humans lived together. Raw meat gets eaten fast, alone, defensively, because it spoils and because there's no reason to wait. Cooked meat is different. Cooking takes time, and waiting around a fire for food to cook meant humans had to sit together, doing nothing for the first time in their evolutionary history. That forced stillness is where something new was born. Conversation, storytelling, teaching. The fire pit became the very first classroom, the very first theater, the very first place humans learned to simply talk to each other for no survival reason at all. Cooking didn't just feed the body, it built the social brain right alongside the caloric one. And there's a stranger twist buried in all of this. Cooking is chemistry, even if nobody involved understood a single principle of it. Heat unlocks nutrients that are otherwise trapped. Cooked tomatoes release more lycopene than raw ones. Cooked carrots release more beta-carotene. Early humans weren't running experiments in a lab. They were running them by accident, one dinner at a time, for hundreds of thousands of years, slowly learning which combinations of heat and food kept them stronger, longer, and sicker less often, all without ever knowing the word nutrition. The moment it all clicked wasn't a single instant. It was a slow accumulation of accidents that eventually became impossible to ignore. Somewhere, some group of early humans simply noticed they were stronger, sicker less, and thinking more clearly than the group that hadn't figured out fire yet. And the ones who hadn't figured it out didn't survive to pass that disadvantage on. That is the aha moment, if there was one. Not a lightning bolt of insight, just natural selection quietly rewarding the accidental cooks and quietly erasing everyone who wasn't. So here is where it lands. A species staring down its own extinction, trapped by a math problem it couldn't solve with raw food, got bailed out by an accident nobody could take credit for. Meat left too close to a flame. A mistake repeated by enough people enough times that it stopped being a mistake and became a technology. Cooking gave us smaller guts and bigger brains. It gave us free time around a fire, which gave us language and culture. It gave us access to nutrients we didn't even know existed. And it did all of this before anyone had a single word for chemistry, biology, or nutrition. The most advanced thing that ever happened to the human brain wasn't a discovery. It was a mistake nobody bothered to correct because it tasted better and made them stronger. So next time someone asks what saved humanity, you don't have to say fire or tools or war. You can just say dinner. What's your what if? Drop your own alternate history scenario in the comments. The stranger, the better. And if you want more of these, subscribe. This is far from the only accident that quietly built the world you're living in.